Hi friends, I'm Chelsea and I am here with my summer book haul. So I did a book haul video a couple months ago, I think for the springtime, and I have acquired several books, as you can tell by the title, since then, and I thought I would show them to you. Also, if I sound stuffy or weird, it's because I'm getting over being sick, but I am feeling a lot better, so I'm happy to be able to record again. I have a good amount of books here. I have a good mix of thrifted and a couple new books, and then also some free books from like little free libraries and a couple other places. Since I have so many books, I'm not going to go into hardly any detail about like the plots or much about them. I'll mostly just tell you the title, the author, the genre, and maybe something short about it. So I'm going to start with the free books and first some little free library finds. I only have a couple. Here's my first one, and this one is super cute. This is The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Sorry, I speak French and I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Also known as Le Petit Prince. So this is the English version of it, which I kind of wish it was in French, but I thought this was too cute to pass up. It's got some pictures in it. So yeah, The Little Prince. Next up, I found The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I've actually already read this and I really enjoyed it, so I thought it would be fun to have on my shelf. So this is a domestic thriller pretty much. And yeah, I'm not really going to tell you because you probably heard of this one because it's all over Book Talk. The next one I found is The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. This is a fairly new release. It came out this year, yeah. So I was pretty excited to find this in a little free library. I think this could be considered like magical realism. It's about this woman who comes home one day and her husband is there, but the problem is she doesn't have a husband. So she's a little confused. And then she realizes that her attic is creating an infinite supply of husbands. And so she just keeps having husbands come out of the attic. But yeah, I thought that was kind of a fun concept. And then this one I have showed in another video. This one is Same as It Ever Was by Claire Lombardo. This is a literary fiction, I think. The last line of this says, "It examines the complete and complicated trajectory of one woman's life and asks what it takes to form and to keep a family." So those are my little free library finds. And then the next two are books that I'm borrowing from my mom and my mother-in-law. So this one is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin, who wrote Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which I absolutely love. This one's literary fiction. It says A.J. Fikry's life is not at all what he expected it to be. He lives alone. His bookstore is experiencing the worst sales in its history, and now his prized possession, a rare collection of poems, has been stolen. I am definitely excited to check out another one of her books. And then we have this one from my mom, The French Ingredient by Jane Birch. First of all, I just love this cover. Can you see it? Also, I should say I just got a camera and I'm getting used to using this, so bear with me. But yeah, this is a memoir, a nonfiction about Jane Birch's life in Paris, I guess, which I don't really know who she is, honestly. My mom just read it and really enjoyed it. She's an American woman and she opened a cooking school in Paris. So I actually studied abroad in Paris in college. I love all things French and Parisian, and so this hopefully will just take me back to those days of studying abroad in Paris. Okay, then the last two in this free category we have, these were actually from an event. So at my apartment complex, they had an event that was like a blind date with a book. And so my husband and I went and we each got a book, but let's be real, I ended up with both the books. The prompt or whatever, on the blind date with the book for this one was Supernatural Paris, continuing with the Paris theme. My husband picked that one. And so the book is Revolution by Jennifer Donnelly. I have never heard of this. I think it's like a YA historical. It might not be historical. I honestly don't really know much about it. The main character, Andy Alpers, goes to Paris. She finds a centuries-old diary. The ghosts begin to walk off the page. I don't know if I'll like it or not, but I got it for free. And then this last one I was excited about. This was my pick, and I think it said psychological thriller, historical fiction. And this book is actually on my TBR. So it is Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. I have seen a lot of people talk about this book. I think it's about Ted Bundy. It says a remarkable story inspired by the real life sorority targeted by America's first celebrity serial killer. and it takes place in the 70s at Florida State University in Tallahassee, which, funny story, is where I went to college. So it's a nice, light, fluffy reading, you know? So that is it for my free books. The majority of this haul will be thrifted books. So here's our next category. I'll talk to you about my thrifted books. Some are from Goodwill, some are from local used bookstores, and then some are from Pango Books, which I've mentioned before. It's like an app where you can order books used and stuff. So the next one is The Island of Sea Women by Lisa C. I have read Lady Tan's Circle of Women by her. She writes historical fiction, really focused on women. I just wanted to check out more of her books. Next up, I have Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. So I'm really excited about this one. I just read Parable of the Sower, spoiler alert. Loved it. I know this is one of her most famous books also, so I'm really excited to check this one out. This is basically sci-fi. It says science fiction, African American literature. I'm looking forward to it, even if it's going to be a heavy one. So next, I found Dracula by Bram Stoker. I've actually never read this one. I'm not going to explain this because I'm pretty sure everyone knows what Dracula is about. I thought this would be a fun one to read in the fall and add another classic to my list to read. Okay, next I have The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. Honestly, don't even know what genre this is. I've heard that it's like Gothic literature, maybe just like literary fiction, maybe even historical. I honestly don't know. I just have heard some people say that this is a great book to read in the fall. So for that reason alone, I bought it. It was like $1. Okay, I've mentioned this one before as well, but this is A Gentleman in Moscow by Immortals, and this is historical fiction set in Moscow in 1922. It's about a man who is sentenced to house arrest, and he kind of witnesses a lot of stuff happening throughout history, and that's all I know. Okay, this next one I'm actually really excited about. This is kind of a different genre for me, but this one is one that's highly recommended. We have Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. I think it's actually two authors. This is the first book in the Expanse series, which is also a TV show. I've just heard a lot of high praise for this book and this series, and people have said it's good to read if you're not a big sci-fi reader. I would like to jump into sci-fi and really excited about this book. Also just love the floppiness. I just love it so much. Love the cover too. I'm not going to tell you about it because I don't know what it's about. I just want to go in blind. Okay, I also showed you this one before, but this is Goblin Mode by Michaela Coyle. And so this is kind of just more like a coffee table kind of book. This says How to Get Cozy, Embrace Imperfection, and Thrive in the Muck. Like the cover and thought it was kind of funny. I have not really looked at it since I got it, but a couple people have seen it when they've come over to our house and have been interested. So that's a win right there. And then this one I'm also very excited about. I got this the same day I got Leviathan Wakes, and this is none other than Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I have read this already, love the series, love the hardcover without the dust jacket. Saw this for basically half off retail price, and I had to buy it. If you don't know, this book is about Emily Wilde, who's like a curmudgeonly professor who goes off to this foreign land to study fairies, and her work rival basically shows up, and there's a whole bunch of shenanigans that they get into, and this is like historical, cozy fantasy romance, and it's just lovely. I love this series. Oh, so many books. Next up, I have One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus. Karen M. McManus. And this is, what is this? YA mystery, I guess. YA murder mystery. Feels like Good Girls Guide to Murder, maybe. I've seen a lot of people talk about this, and I want to check it out. Okay, next up I have Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Just appreciate this beautiful cover. I honestly bought this because I love the cover and I want it on my shelf. I've already read this book. I think I gave it like 4 stars. It's a gothic horror set in 1950s Mexico. There's a lot of creepy, weird stuff going on. Honestly, this book is a little disturbing and weird at points, but I did really enjoy it. I like this author's writing a lot, and yeah, I just wanted this on my shelf. Next up, I have Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier. This is a mystery thriller, and I don't know much about it, as usual. Next, we have A Little Hope by Ethan Joella, a literary fiction novel. Where are you going? This one is a literary fiction, and this says a luminous, life-affirming novel set in an idyllic Connecticut town over the course of a year. It follows different neighbors, just all the different things they're going through with their life, like cancer, lost love, career stuff. Sounds interesting. Next up, I have The Measure by Nikki Ehrlich. Again, more of literary fiction, but with a speculative fiction, not really fantasy, I don't know, but like dystopian maybe. I don't know what it would be classified as. The premise of this is basically like one day people wake up and they're presented with this box with a string or something. There's a string on the cover, so I don't know. But basically, if they choose to open it, they are told how many years they have to live. It's just this decision of whether or not they want to know that information and what they're going to do with it. So whatever genre that is. It feels kind of like the Midnight Library. So yeah, that one sounds cool too. And then this was from a library sale, so another like 50 cent to $1 book. I'm really excited about this one too. This is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I love this because look, just look. Okay, we got some images here. So it's an illustrated version. It's got the whole vintage spines. Very exciting. We got some random red painted here just on the top, so that was a fun find. So next in my thrifted book stack we have Goodwill books, which there are a lot here. I really scored on some of these. You just never know what you're going to find at Goodwill. So we have One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I have read this book and gave it 5 stars. Really loved it. I love her writing in general and a lot of her books, and so I definitely wanted this on my shelf. This is like a contemporary romance literary fiction. It's about this girl named Emma who marries her high school sweetheart, Jesse. On their first wedding anniversary, he disappears. He is on a helicopter over the Pacific and he is presumed dead. Years later, she gets engaged to her childhood like best friend, Sam. And so they're engaged, but then one day Jesse shows up. And so she's got this decision to make. Will she choose her husband, Jesse, who she thought was dead, or her childhood friend, who now she is engaged to? Quite a heart-wrenching book. Okay, next up we have Seraphina and the Black Cloak by Robert Beatty. This is a middle grade fantasy, mystery, historical type book. It takes place at the Biltmore House in Asheville, North Carolina. I think she sees this man in a black cloak who stalks Biltmore's corridors at night. Children start disappearing and she escapes, and they try to figure out why these children are vanishing and who this man in the black cloak is. Okay, next up we have The Story of a New Name by Elena Ferrante. This is book 2 in the Neapolitan novels series. My Brilliant Friend is the first book, which I haven't read yet, but I've heard that it's a really good series. Figured I should pick up the second book in case I love the first book. Okay, we have another book in a series, the second book actually. So this is Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. So this is book 2 in the Darker Shades of Magic series, and I've actually read book 1 and book 2, but I think I want to reread them and then finish the third book, because I think when I read them, I just wasn't much of a fantasy reader and I didn't really get as much out of them as I think I could now that I really enjoy fantasy. So I'm going to reread them, and I figured having this might help too, to like have the physical. Okay, this one I've also read and I love. This is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix, and this is a historical horror novel. I had a great time with this. The audiobook is super good. This one is pretty much what it sounds like. It's a group of Southern women. I think they live in Charleston. They have a book club. They're kind of just living their mundane housewife lives. And then this man comes to their town. He is a little sketchy. He could be a serial killer. He could be a vampire. He could just be a very charming but strange man. They're trying to figure it out. Quite an entertaining book. And then the last books here are all hardcovers, also from Goodwill. We have The Paris Daughter by Kristen Harmel, in perfect condition, I should say. This one came out this year, I'm pretty sure, so I was very excited to find that. This is a historical fiction. It's set in Paris, 1939, about 2 women who are young mothers and they bond. Just a historical fiction about motherhood. Next, we have Blacktop Wasteland by S.A. Cosby. This is like a crime thriller, I guess. I haven't read any of his books. I know he wrote Razorblade Tears and All the Sinners Bleed, I think. So I think this is like a Southern noir, high-speed heist crime, whatever. And then we have Homegoing by Yagyasi. This copy has seen better days, but still exciting. This book has been on my radar for a while. I've heard really good things about this one. So I think this is like a historical and contemporary. It goes like over 300 years in Ghana and also into America, I believe. And it follows two sisters and basically their generations that come after them, from the Civil War to the Great Migration to jazz clubs, 20th century Harlem, and then present day. Next, we have Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. Another great copy. I believe this one could be considered kind of sci-fi, I guess, and like maybe dystopian. I haven't read any of his books or any Japanese literature really, so I definitely want to check this one out. Next, we have Just Another Missing Person by Gillian McAllister. She wrote Wrong Place, Wrong Time, which I have not read. This says his weapon. His weapon isn't a gun or knife. It's a secret, her worst one. A heart-stopping thriller. Love a good thriller, so there you go. And then my last Goodwill purchase and last thrifted purchase is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. Also a 2024 release, great condition, not great reviews, I will say. The Silent Patient seems to be his most loved book so far, so I'm a little skeptical, but I really do want to read it. So this is another thriller, like a psychological thriller set on a remote Greek island, follows a cast of characters, murder mystery, classic setup. Those are all my thrifted books. I definitely recommend checking out your local Goodwill or used bookstore, and even like Pango Books and online booksellers. If you don't want to spend full price on books, you got a lot of other options. I also do have a couple brand new books that I bought. I think I have like 5 here. I did decide to treat myself to a couple new books. So we have Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. This is epic fantasy, basically. This is one of his few standalone novels, but it is in the Cosmere. I probably want to read this pretty soon. I'll probably listen to the audiobook and read it at the same time. I'm not going to explain what it's about because there's too many names I can't pronounce. Next up, we have Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. This one has been on my radar for a long time. I really liked The Unhoneymooners by them, and I'm excited to read this one. So this is a contemporary romance. I think it's a second chance romance. I've heard really great things, that it's very heartbreaking and heartwarming and just a really beautiful romance. I've been in kind of a romance mood this summer, so I might be picking this one up sooner than later. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little scared of this next one. It's kind of like a crazy hyped book talk book that I just had to check out. So I bought into it, and that is Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. I'm sure you've seen this everywhere. I don't even know. I'm a little scared because I don't really read dark romances, but I've heard that it's really funny and a really good romance. It's a serial killer romance, so that sounds unique. This says the viral Friends to Lovers dark romantic comedy full of murder, chaos, and sizzling chemistry. We'll see what I think about this. I might love it, I might hate it, but I am the kind of person who loves to check out really hyped books and see what I think. Okay, this one I had talked about in a video before. So this is O Caledonia by Elspeth Barker. And this I got as a blind date with a book at a bookstore. And so I had no idea what it was. I still don't really know, but I picked it because what it said on there was like gothic, broody, mysterious, Scottish manor, quirky heroines, and then like a rare gem of the 19th century. It says it's a darkly humorous modern classic about a doomed adolescent girl, and there's like a murder, but it's not really a murder mystery, more about coming of age and chronicling this girl's life. So we'll see how the blind date with the book goes if I actually like it. And then the last one is probably the most beautiful cover of all. This is Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Poranek. Let's just look at this. How beautiful. Here's the back. It's just stunning. I honestly don't know much about the book. Big surprise, right? But I don't care because I just love how beautiful this is. I have heard that it's kind of like Howl's Moving Castle vibes meets Beauty and the Beast. Cozy, mysterious fantasy. There's monsters. It says, what dark secrets lie hidden in the spirit wood? I'm very excited to check this one out as well. So there you have it. That's like about 40 books. I need to get through a lot of them We'll see how quickly that happens. As usual, let me know if you've read any of these, if you have any recommendations for what to tackle first, or if you have picked up any good books lately, either new or thrifted or free even. I would love to chat with you in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye!